Welcome to the Ecom 80/20 podcast, the show for brands looking to compete and win at selling online by building better customer relationships. Hosted by Isaac Hyman and Jaco Rosenberg, co-founders of Highflyer Digital and marketing experts for 7, 8, and 9-figure brands, we'll reveal, discuss, and demystify the secret strategies that the top 1% use to acquire, convert, and retain customers better. Our mission is to help level the playing field and help you build more profitable, predictable, and scalable revenue streams for your business. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Ecom 80/20 podcast. I'm your host, Jaco Rosenberg, with my partner, Isaac Hyman, and we are here to help businesses work smarter, not harder, using the 80/20 rule. We're back for episode 15. That's 15 episodes of this podcast. We're happy to have you. And today we're excited to talk about another topic that's important in Q2, the upsell, the power of the upsell. And what is an upsell, Isaac? What does that actually mean for our listeners?
An upsell, yeah. It's the upsell is pretty much how to get people to buy more that is either related to their product that they bought before, or get them to expand the amount of their spending with you, or just complete, get into some sort of pattern or cadence of purchasing behavior with your brand.
So what does that do for the actual value of the customer itself? Meaning, is it a feature, idea that you want to get them to be a longer term purchaser or a longer term customer, or is it increasing the lifetime value, or is it just specifically focusing on that initial sale? What would you say is the main point there?
Oh, yeah, I think for most brands, to be honest, I think most brands understand the value of, at its surface area, like surface face value. Most people think an upsell is just get them to buy an accessory for the product they bought, right? I bought a bike, for example. We're going to upsell them some helmet or pads, and that's great. That's a good kind of.
Is that an upsell or is that a cross sell? Would you say to find the difference for our audience?
Oh, so I guess an upsell is more like you're buying something to reinforce your previous purchase. And a cross sell would be something related to, like, you bought a bike, so you may be interested in these other type of bikes. Bike may be a different type of example, but you may be interested in kids' bikes, right? Because that's kind of like you are biking, so you may want to take your kids with you. So right. That's kind of the definition from what I've seen. But going deeper, I think we know that if someone bought twice from you, they have a higher propensity of staying with you a little longer. So there's one kind of short-term win, which is that quick revenue, and then there's a long-term win, which is the loyalty.
Right. That's awesome. So, we talk a lot about relationships when it comes to our clients and our customers. You need to build a relationship when you're introducing a product or a service to a customer, to a guest, to a visitor to your site. So it's not just making that initial sale. It's growing the lifetime value. It's growing that relationship, growing and giving them a sense of connection to your brand. And when you have that kind of ability to do that with their upsell, it deepens the relationship that you have with your customers, gives them more value, and increases the lifetime value of that specific customer. And in general, all customers. When the more that you can offer your visitors, the longer your connection will be with them, and they'll keep coming back for more and more. So we know that, right? So just looking at some of the basic stats, upselling can increase the revenue of a specific purchase from 10 to 30% on average. 70 to 90% of businesses, the revenue will come from an upsell and a renewal if it exists. And lastly, 68%, upsells are 68% more affordable than acquiring a new customer, right? We talk about that all the time. How expensive is it to acquire a new customer? You have a customer, 68% more affordable than acquiring a new customer. So talk about that a little bit, what that actually means.
Well, yeah, I think one of the fundamentals of any business is knowing that you have the foundation already built to grow that customer. And I think where a lot of brands fall down on, considering that 74% of customers are one-time buyers, I just printed this page out, right, that I'm mailing to our Dream 100 list, right? 74% of e-commerce customers are one-time buyers. That's crazy. And the reason why, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons they're leaving is that the infrastructure is not set up by brands to kind of keep them loyal.
Yeah.
Right. They just kind of got a customer and great. Now assume that they're going to stick around, right? They must love me. They bought from me. Wrong answer. They're not, you can't have that assumption. So, it's so important to know that upselling is important, but you can't upsell someone if they don't have a good experience with you in the first place. And I think the value of upselling is that it validates the fact that you actually have value to offer to that customer pre and post purchase.
Yeah.
So that's really the what's lying behind the upsell.
Right. And that goes into how the upsells work and where your best opportunity for an upsell is. So you talk about pre-purchase. Okay. So let's focus there for a minute. Okay. Give us the main places, assuming that you're an e-commerce shop. We're not talking about in-store value, right? There's always that in-store, the checkout line, the quick buys, the impulse buys that are on the checkout line. But when you're talking about an e-commerce shop, for example, give us the main places on an e-commerce shop where an upsell opportunity exists.
Well, the upsell opportunity really exists anywhere where you can provide more value for the customer with really more value for the customer without being overt that you're just trying to get more money from them.
Trying to sell more.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, yeah,
Don't
of course, someone who buys a, I don't know, an iPhone, right? Of course you want to sell them headphones to go with their iPhone, or extra charger, or a wireless MagSafe, whatever it's called. Of course you want to do that, but where's the value in it? Well, as long as you're illustrating the value is like you can be more convenient, or your battery will charge twice as long, or warranty is a great example. You want to protect your gear because it's an expensive purchase. The other side is, let's say I need to get to a certain level of free shipping and I'm only at $50 and I need to get to $75. So upsell them, you're only $25 away from free shipping, and that's a value. Or you could buy this item and this item is available, a more expensive item is available in store as opposed to online. You can get it faster. That's a value. And that's kind of where the upselling happens. You could do that upsell. You see that upsell all the time, right? The product detail page, the cart page, the checkout page, but all those are positioned best when there's a value.
For sure. And let's talk about those three that you just mentioned at the end there: the product detail page, the cart page, and checkout page, right? Go through where on the page they exist and where you found in your experience the best, A/B test, but the best success have come, is it on the product page? Is it on the cart page, or is it on the checkout page?
So on the checkout page, I think pretty much everything should be removed by then, right? The checkout page is more like you just want to get them to complete their purchase as soon as possible. And the cart page is where you can kind of upsell them a little bit more. Customers like, you also bought this, or get free shipping when you add these, or warranty, or extra service, or concierge, or put it together with us, whatever it may be. That's kind of where you find the most upsell opportunities on the cart page. It also helps with abandonment, right? You're able to kind of position more items there and make it very clear that, there's no surprise costs. Checkout, it's going to be that you can do this and do that and get actual value out of it by adding more products to get the free shipping, for example. The product detail page definitely has upsell opportunities as well. I think we see that a lot, but it's not always as prominent, right? It's going to be kind of like lower down on the page. You just want to get them to add to cart, or
you might also be interested
more about it.
Yeah.
Right. There's lower intent on the product detail page that they would want to buy that one product than on the cart page when they're literally already added to their cart. Again, on checkout page, you may want to consider having pop-ups there if they're about to abandon their checkout to say, like, just wait, you may want to hold on, but I don't know if it's as popular to have an upsell opportunity as they're checking out.
Yeah, it seems like it's a harder place to get an upsell on the checkout page, right? We want them, like you said, we want them checking out as quickly as possible, make that sale, and then you have opportunities to connect with them later for future upsell opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we'll
And
go
that's
into
why,
that now. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and that's why you see a lot of brands doing now, at least Amazon was built up all around one-click checkout. Right?
Yeah.
You go shop on Amazon. I think they still have it. I'm not sure. It's so automatic for me now, right? You go, you click, you add to cart, click, checkout, done, right? Because they don't want to interrupt you. But in their cart page, you'll see you may want to add this back, or you may want to add that. But one-click checkout, once you're there, we'll get you in and out done.
Yeah. So I don't have that.
Live to fight another day.
Chance. Here, when I do my Amazon shopping in Israel, I can't do a one-click checkout because I need to keep within a certain amount of money for prime shipping. And if I needed to be over $49 and under $75 for taxes, it's I love the one-click checkout back when I was living in the States, but here's a little bit more challenging. But I get the point. Most of our listeners are listening. Yeah, they get it as well. So let's talk about that, for example. We talked about the checkout page, and now where have we found, from a marketing standpoint, from an email marketing standpoint, opportunities for brands to offer upsells, offer cross sells in the email flows, the email campaigns even? Tell us that the main ones that we really like to focus on, as well as where you found other success in that space.
So I'll preface this with a comment that you really have to excel in the first order before you try to upsell them on another item.
Of course.
And it's crazy how many people fall asleep on the idea that, they need to get the item first, right? They need to unbox it. They need to use it. They need to say that you've delivered value to them. That's actually our post-purchase hourglass, which I think we either did a podcast on already, or maybe we're going to eventually.
Yeah. It's on the calendar.
Going to. It's good for it. It's that we call it the post-purchase hourglass, right? You turn that funnel into an hourglass, and you kind of expand the value for every single customer by making sure they got it, making sure it turns on, it works, making sure that they're happy with it, that the size fits, whatever it may be, and then just kind of giving them more content and guides and video, and just unlocking this world of information. And only then, after you do that, can you start saying, okay, now that we've exceeded your expectations, we're going to sell you a little more. So that's why the best things are to expand your post-purchase flow. That's pretty the biggest one for upselling. A good orchestrated workflow for post-purchase, not just say one email says thank you for your purchase, and then another email that says upsell, right?
Right.
No, you got to have a nice coordinated effort.
You got to build that out,
and then
it has to be spread out over time, like you said. Specifically for post-purchase, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but specifically for post-purchase, it's an order that you just completed. Thank you so much for your order. How long do you need to wait before you try to sell them again? It can't be in the next 5 minutes. It can't be the next day. It needs to be over time. It needs to be spread out. You need to be providing value through that time, so that you can get to that next purchase opportunity, right? It's got to be a couple of days, a couple of weeks even. Build that out so that you can provide that value, like you mentioned, whether it's a thank you first, and then it's join our tribe, check out the reviews of the products that you just purchased, check out videos, tutorials of how you can use the product you just purchased. This is what other people have said. Join us on, other ways to connect with us. And then once they're satisfied, then is a good time to say, you know what, because you like this product, you might also be interested in these. So talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, because you like this product and you like us as a brand who's kind of giving you the full experience, right? You're throwing everything at them. I'll give an example. I mean, we both read the book, Never Lose a Customer Again. And it's got some good examples there where, they're
going through it.
Going through it. Yeah, it's actually, it's on my Audible. And one of the examples is they got this person delivered a box of product, right? A box, I forgot what the product was. Delivered a box. In the box was this eco-friendly box, is an eco-friendly product. And they had a free lollipop in there that you can just enjoy. It's a sweetness to your purchase, a surprise and delight, shock and awe type of thing. Nice. And then they had a video that was like, the whole team thanks you very much. They're all waited with bated breath to to you for you unbox this package, just kind of like this cheesy kind of line, but it's really fascinating to see. And then it had in the box was extra videos on the value of it and what you should do next. And the box itself was very fascinating. And that's just kind of like, you know, it's not just about the product, it's about the brand too. And so you can't until you convince the customer that the product meets their expectations and the brand exceeds their expectations, yeah, that's when you upsell. And to answer your question about the timing of it, right? It really depends. Sometimes if you're buying a product every week, like groceries, I think we talk about groceries every now and again, groceries, it's a smaller window of buying. My wife buys Misfits Market all the time, and she buys it every week or every other week. So their post-purchase workflow has got to be over a week, right?
Yeah.
In many ways, at least the first one. And then but for someone who's buying a guitar, for example, that post-purchase workflow may be 30 to 60 or 90 days.
Right.
It's a different, it's a longer window. So it really depends. You really just have to sit down and map out that journey. It takes time, and it's long, and it's arduous. But you do it once, you get it right, you are golden.
Yeah, it's all about that customer experience. So another way of doing that, another workflow that we often put in practice is our one-time buyer CRM. That means that, you know, you've been a customer and you haven't purchased in a little while. Come back or check out, because you were such a great customer X number of days ago, come back and try again. This is what we have now to offer. Talk about that for a bit, how that works and what we do with that.
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely. I think the post-purchase it's a good example you're raising, because the post-purchase, it should be broken out by one-time buyer or two-time buyer or three-time buyer and on, because the one-time buyer, getting them to buy twice is super critical. It's probably the most critical thing you can do in your e-commerce business. A one-time buyer is usually gained at a discount, sometimes at a loss. You're paying for ads, you're paying for free shipping, you're throwing everything at them to give you a try.
Except
and what do we say? 3 out of 4 leave, right?
Yeah.
3 out of 4 leave the business, right? Maybe you got them because they had a great discount, or was it Black Friday or a sale or an offer. But that's why getting them from 1 to 2 on at the post-purchase level, right when they make a purchase along that window of time, so critical. But if they get past that window, well, then yeah, you have to kind of focus on, put a lot more energy into getting them to go from 1 to 2, right? If I bought a shirt, and I love this shirt, I got to buy more of them actually. But if I bought this V-neck slim foot shirt from H&M, they need to get me pretty quickly. If they wait 6-7 months, I'm already on another brand. I'm right, going shopping somewhere else, another season. So you really got to work at it pretty quickly. And if you don't get them quick enough, well, you're going to have a harder time. And that's what leads back to a win back campaign.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't want to have to sit there and try to win people back. You want to be able to have them, build the trust in some sort of predictable way, a lot quicker.
So when does win back campaign get implemented? What does that involve? And what's the conversation that you're having with your customer to win them back, like you said? And yeah, it's been a while. Come back. We love you. You loved us at one point, right? Do you even get that cheesy, or do you just, talk about the product and the features, or I should say the benefits over the features of what your initial purchase made and impacted their life, and how the future purchase can do the same?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of brands kind of do a win back campaign and they realize it does modestly okay, but they tend to throw a lot of deals at people, right? They tend to say like, oh, try us again and we'll give you a deal. Where they really should be focusing on is kind of saying like, how can we
improve the experience?
What else do we need to do? Like, what was your experience like? What are all these things that we could have done before? Like take our survey or get to know us a little bit more. How can we help? Or what are you in the market for? A little bit more refined. You don't just always have to throw a deal at them to make them purchase again, because then you're back to square one.
Yeah,
you just got them to purchase at an offer, right? It's like you're treating them as a new one-time buyer again. Yeah. So I think where we break it down, the best way I found to break it down is to do it by risk of churn and churn. Churn is like win back, right? they've already churned off your, for those who don't know what churn means, it's like they've already broken their purchasing cadence. They haven't bought in a while as you expected them to. And so you got to kind of get them back.
Right.
But what you should be doing is a risk of churn. Those who are pretty close to not coming back again, based on the data, again, you got to look into your data.
How does the data determine that?
You can predict, let's take an example of that misfits market, right? My wife buys at a typical purchasing cadence of, let's say every week, just to make argument's sake, right? Every week she buys from Misfits, gets a box every week. Very annoying to unpack, but it is what it is. I gotta always recycle the boxes. Food, the fruit gets eaten really quickly, so it's not even enough. But like, yeah, it's a good experience for her. So that's really what's important.
It's a good thing.
And
Kids
she
eating
buys every week.
vegetables, fruits and
It's a
vegetables.
good thing. Happy wife, right? Yeah. So she buys on this certain cadence, right?
We love
Now,
you if you're listening to this
for,
podcast. Thank you so much.
yeah, exactly. Love you so much. Amazing job. Keep the fruit coming. So yeah, she buys it, let's say every week. So she buys week one, then week two, skips week three. Okay, maybe it's an anomaly, but then skips week four, right? That's a churn, right? That would be like, oh, we lost them. Where they go? Maybe they skip week five, whatever the data looks like to you. That's kind of how you identify it. But most brands will stop and say, oh, damn, we lost them at week five. What happened? Let's win them back. Mm-hmm. You got to start the minute they skipped week three is when you say, hey, did you forget something this week? Hey, how can we help? Hey, can we talk on the phone and see if we can process your order? Whatever it may be. That's the risk of churn, right? That's kind of where you want to say, this one fell off their purchasing cadence. We should probably give them a call or, talk it out a little bit.
So what kind of brands?
So that's kind of where.
What kind of brands and businesses would that work with on a more consistent basis? Obviously, grocery, you're shopping every week or so. What other brands can you really do that and have that predictability? I mean, would it be in a camera company? Would it be something that, you're buying new tools and new equipment every couple of months, and then you're saying, oh, it's been 6 months since your last purchase, come back and see what you're missing?
It could be tons of brands, tons of brands. You could do this with pretty much every single brand. In fact, that's really the direction most brands are going right now. The top 1% are all about the customer and these kind of cohorts or segments, as you call it. And like, let's take a camera buyer, right? A camera buyer won't necessarily buy a camera every year, right?
Right.
But they do buy here and there. They'll buy a storage item, or they'll buy a tripod, or they'll buy a lens. So you can maybe expect that every quarter they'll buy an item. Mm-hmm. If they skip two quarters, well, that's a customer who's churning, and you want to say like, that's a quarter, right? That's a 90-day period. That's a long period. You just have to be able to kind of keep track of it. It could be shirts. You buy what's another example? Some people buy I don't know, we go clothes shopping every 2 months.
Our friend Ovadia at the Perfect Jean, he says that people buy jeans every 4 months because your jeans get worn
every
out.
4 months.
You need another pair.
Right? Yeah. You need another pair. That's exactly.
It's so interesting because we just went from the upsell opportunities where we're trying to get people from the one-time purchase into multiple time buyers to the second purchase. And now we're talking about, risk of churn when they've been multiple time purchases already. So it's the risk of churn is definitely an opportunity for that upsell for sure. So go into, I'm sorry,
you can go hot wild with it. There's so many different directions. Yeah. No problem. There's a ton of different directions you can go with it. But it's like going back to your original point, it's about, upselling goes beyond just kind of like trying to get them to buy an accessory for the item they bought. It's about also saying, how do we get them to stay with our brand more, right? And what products will help them get there.
Right.
Get there.
So
right? It doesn't have to be products. Yeah. It could be something like, join our loyalty. I'm going to say this is an upsell. Maybe this is an upsell, I guess. You can join our loyalty program, download our app. All of these are kind of helping you stay sticky in front of every single type of, oh yeah, that's probably the next question you had, the tools to upsell.
Yeah. Exactly. How do we go about doing that? What would you say is the best ways to upsell? What kind of offers can we have? Is it, like you said, a subscription plan? Is it a loyalty program? We talked about the higher higher ticket items in terms of their product level, but those kind of things are really what gets people to come back for more. But it really just starts with a relationship, and that's really the core of every purchase. Every customer is a relationship and the value that you offer. We've been talking about that for a long time. So let's go on a global standpoint. What would you say some of the best upsells that you've come across, the ones that you've made, have made the most revenue for their businesses? I came across one the other day. JetBlue had one of the best campaigns for their upsell. And if anyone who knows, I travel, we all travel for business now that skies are opening up again. But when you go to the JetBlue site and you try to purchase tickets, you're given that option for more space, right? That right there is it's not in the retail world, but it is an upsell. You're about to purchase a regular economy seat, get even more space for X number of dollars more, right? Most people don't click on the first class or business class, but you'll take more legroom for $30 to $40 more once you're already spending a couple $100 on your ticket. So, I know that JetBlue doing that promotion, doing that upsell opportunity, they made $190 million after they first rolled it out for the first year. So those kind of brands, what would you say is one of your favorites that you come across?
I mean, there's you went really big with that, and that's really great. 190 million in incremental revenue just from an upsell. I'm gonna go really small now, though.
Okay.
Like I'll go even to like the local coffee shop, right? To say example like that. And one of the best at loyalty is Starbucks with their rewards program, with their stars program, Star Rewards, where they get people just to kind of like collect stars on every single purchase. And all of a sudden now you've become a lot more loyal because you download their app and you're going to spend more and you're going to load money on their card and things like that. So all that is a fantastic kind of upsell opportunity that goes beyond just the dollars and cents. But an example of let's say a coffee shop, just a simple thing of having that kind of punch card. Remember those where you have that punch, it's still valid, but like they have this punch card where you just punch it out and say, you buy 9 coffees, get 10 free. Now, I think there was a study, and I wish I had the stats specifically on this, but if you calculate the amount of money they spent in a year, right, once a day, times $2 cup of coffee, whatever that is, you led to X amount of revenue.
$2. Where do you get a $2 cup of coffee?
I go cheap for coffee. I buy a lot of coffee, so I have to go a little cheaper than usual, but I usually make my coffee, but so that equals, I don't know, let's say a number, $100 total, right? I think it was like $5,200. So then, but if you simply ask someone if they would like to add a Danish to their order 1 day a week, that money lifetime value goes from 5,200 to like 8,000.
Wow.
Just by asking for a $1 Danish. And that's just a clear example of how any brand can upsell anything and increase the lifetime value of that customer. That's just for 1 day, 1 Danish, let's say once a month or whatever that may be, maybe once a week. So, that's kind of like, it's possible for anyone. We're talking mainly e-commerce for the most part, but you can sell anything. It does not have to be more money. It doesn't have to be they spent $10. Let's sell them a $100 item. It could be they bought $10 worth of product. Let's sell them $1 product. It doesn't matter about that as much as it matters about the lifetime value of the customer.
Amazing, good stuff. So if you can impart one point of wisdom on our audience on the best way of upselling without it sounding like it sells. Like we all hate that word sales. So whatever that word is. What would you offer? What would you say to our audience?
I would say definitely start with wowing them on the very first purchase, over delivering. Like we said, make sure the product meets their expectations and your brand exceeds their expectations. And then you can upsell almost anything to them, right? So that is probably the biggest tip I can say. And if you're not doing it in your post-purchase workflow, that's probably the easiest. Yeah, the cheapest way to do it, right? And one more thing I would say is add them to your crowd. Get them to join your tribe. What that means is, let's say get them to join your Facebook group or join you on social, or connect with a WhatsApp group, whatever it may be, that allows them, that will help get other customers selling them for you.
Right.
Right. That's a whole separate topic, actually. But that helps other customers convince them that, wow, look at the community I just joined. I don't want to let them down. So I'm going to buy some more. I want to max the value of this. So that's the other element. So those are the two areas, if I would say.
The most important thing about an upsell is that if you don't get that first purchase, that first sale, then you're not going to get the second one. So you have to focus on that first one, build that customer trust, build that customer lifetime, so that relationship, so that you can then have an opportunity to sell them later on. Good stuff, Isaac. Always fun. This has been another episode of the Ecom 80/20 podcast. I'm your host, Jakob Rosenberg, with my partner, Isaac Hyman, and we help e-commerce businesses work smarter, not harder. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Ecom 80/20 podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe and follow us on social at High Flyer Digital for daily tips, content, and videos. To put this week's strategy into action and move your brand forward, go to highflyerdigital.com/book and schedule a free 15-minute chat with Isaac and Jakob. Let's partner together to compete and win at e-commerce. Your brand is worth it. Until next week, this is Isaac and Jakob wishing you a successful and profitable